I think the basic mantra is you don't change people. Align them to something new, slowly but steadily, which has an impact on the environment.
Do you believe these global events, the climate strikes, the protests which are happening, in many ways they're influencing the sustainability?
Absolutely. See, they might not impact you and me directly. When somebody is protesting for climate, probably you and I don't stop doing anything in life. But it does ring a bell in policymakers. And that's what's important. Not every agitation is successful, but repeated agitation around a same fact or a repeated ringing of the bell with the same concept has really awakened a lot of it.
Talk to me a little bit more about the women entrepreneurship. And for me, the Republic Day was an absolute eye-opener, seeing an all-women parade.
Correct.
Moving in different... And I think they play an important role in shaping all of us who we
Correct.
are, right?
So one is to your point. I mean, it's high time that forget economic equality, but a gender equality comes in on it. Whatever you say, but a woman with some sort of an independence of financial independence in her hand can really do wonders for the society. Even if it is probably 20,000 a month, it puts man under control. It puts her words and value a lot more. And I have no denial in saying that. Woman makes the country,
Our whole society.
Absolutely. One woman literate probably literates the entire community, which has been said long back. It's still true for that. So we want to believe that, and in whatever limited way we can do, we are trying to promote that. Of course, it's a business model for us, but at the same time, it's a model where we are very clear that we are giving it back to them.
We are the generation with the power to change the world. Let's use that power to create a sustainable future for all.
Look for the silver lining whenever a cloud appears in the blue.
Design should not be used to exploit the environment. It should be used for the betterment of the world. Sustainability is the only option. The alternative is the destruction of our planet. Hello and welcome to Between Us. Make every conversation count. In today's episode, I'm in conversation with Sourabh Jain, founder and CEO of a sustainability toy firm, The EleFant. Sourabh, thank you for joining.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you for inviting. It's a sheer pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I think sustainability, planet, climate, these are not just buzzwords and trending topics. There's much more to it. I believe sustainability should be a way of life. We should all aim for a sustainable living. We're still not there yet. But I think today there is at least an effort moving in that direction.
Absolutely. And, the way these buzzwords are coming up, they do two things. One, at least people get to know about them. And the only journey that we need to cross today as humans is not thinking that, okay, if I can't do anything around it, let's not do anything. So, you know what I mean? Simply is the buzz needs to be created, but not to make anyone afraid of it. Sustainable way of living can be as simple as reusing, reducing a use, or recycling something.
Absolutely.
Not going too far in the climate or the waters or the air pollution, where a common man thinks, okay, these are so complicated. So yes, sustainability definitely is taking up shape, and happy that our generation, especially people from the 80s and the 90s, are taking up that task of actually living that life, which is easier and sustainable for sure.
True. I had a very interesting guest on my show, Mr. Abid Surti, and he's all of 88 years.
Wow.
And he runs a foundation called Drop Dead. And he goes around, houses to houses, apartment to apartment, with a plumber and a volunteer, just to make sure that your taps, if they are leaking, he fixes them.
Wow.
Because every drop counts.
Correct.
I think the small things and the small acts we do, even that can make our life sustainable. Correct?
Absolutely.
The EleFant, and it's The EleFant, and it's pronounced as elephant, but spelled as EleFant. Talk me through what it is about.
So first, the spelling. It comes from the word elementary plus infant. We are basically a brand that is taking care of the elementary education that toys and books gives to kids uh, in a very affordable and a sustainable manner. The way the concept works is simply defined from the word reuse. We want toys and books to be reused because they predominantly don't have any life with a kid. Normally, a kid gets bored in 8 to 10 days. And what we do at the platform is people can become a member, take a toys and books that their kid wants to play with, and return it back whenever they are done playing with it. So effectively, you are giving more options and varieties to your kid. At the same time, you're protecting the environment by not generating the waste that a toy keeps generating. So you're reusing it effectively. Every kid today, even when they are 3 years old, they learn reduce, reuse, recycle, but they are never able to implement that probably till they turn 20. Now,
Sure.
this is what we intend to do with them. We are implementing a reuse in their life, uh, probably at the age of 4. They learn that, okay, they can use a toy, they need to return it back and take something else. It's all about toy rotation, it's all about circular economy that we are trying to build at the EleFant today.
Awesome. Saurabh, before we get deeper into this conversation,
Mhm.
you are a chartered accountant by profession,
Correct.
and now sustainability entrepreneur. I can understand a chartered accountant moving into a financial advisory service, becoming the quintessential, financial consultant. Why and how and when did this? Um, was this something which was always there within you, um, or like every other belief, it kind of evolved over time?
So this idea evolved over time, but the concept of being sustainable was always there. Even when I was a chartered accountant running my own consulting practice, or I was part of EY before when I cleared chartered accountancy. So for 4 years in EY, I preferred not taking printouts. That's the simplest I could have done. Use digital mode to the max. Slowly that became a habit. I educated probably multiple clients that why do you even need to take, say, a printout of a document as small as a purchase order? Why do you even print it or an invoice copy? Let's digitize it. And slowly these suggestions were counted as cost saving. But of course, back of the mind, they were also environment friendly. So this is how I was living. Probably then the journey slowly moved on where we started consulting a lot of companies as I founded a consulting company called as ProTune, where we were tuning up processes for various organizations at a large scale. Again, the same funda got applied where we were trying to minimalize the use of paper, reuse of paper. That was the most that as a CA you use, right? I mean, paper is the biggest waste that we generate as an accountant. So we tried reducing that. And when I was part of Chai Point and my journey later, I was a supply chain director for them. I was indeed procuring all the raw materials. Uh, there, my sustainable journey went a long way because as a brand, Chai Point is very sustainable.
True.
So I got to know a lot about sustainable paper. I got to know a lot about sustainable plastic. We started procuring that. I moved a lot of their products from using one-time use plastic to say a reusable plastic, and that was it. But the journey of the EleFant probably does not have a link to sustainability more, but it has a link more to my own daughter. She's 2.5 years today. And when she was one, or when she was about to born, you keep reading about parenting, you keep reading about how to grow a great child, and it's a journey, right? I
Right.
mean, I wouldn't have read how to run a startup, but I've read how to be a father, like probably 50 odd books I would have read about it. So one of the thing that everything was saying that you need to keep toys as their best friends in their childhood. You need to keep giving them new and new playtime every time they want it, and you should not feel bad about their aggression. So the journey started off giving by new things every time. For Ahana, who's my daughter. So I started buying. I kept on buying, but I ended up realizing that it's actually not a 5 to even a 6 day thing. And it started with the fact that how do you reduce it? But one thing is for sure, you can't reduce the ask.
No,
There's no way that you can do that.
it only grows.
It only grows. It grows more, and more you make them play with it, the ask grows more and more. So we never showed phone probably till 2 years. I don't say that I don't show it today, but then yeah, I mean most of the time is without a mobile phone. So then you need to give them toys, right? That's the life that you want them to have. So then it started that okay, buying is not an idea. Uh, One, you are aware about the waste that it generates. And of course, it's cluttered at home and it's expensive for sure. So buying was not the concept for sure. So I reviewed around and looked for something like a library. I was aware about such a concept, agreeing or being present in a small mom and pop stores. But they had all the technical difficulties of supply chain. They had all the problems of getting it delivered right at your home. They had issues of products not being BIS certified or the best quality, which is great and safe for a kid. So that's where the journey started. We surveyed about 1,000 odd parents, realized that why are they not joining a concept like toy library, and do they need it? And the facts were very clear. They all wanted it, but something which is far easier, far convenient, and something that takes care of their requirements as well. So that's how the journey of the elephant started, where we have a convenient pick and drop facility for a parent. We are present in 14 cities today. At the same time, all our products are 100% BIS certified and sustainably developed by the brands.
What certified did you say?
BIS. BIS is a certification that's used for the best quality toys, which are safe for kids, which does not have harmful chemicals, which has organic colors, etc. So that's a certification that a toy. It's like an ISI mark. And the simpler way of ISI mark is BIS certification. So most of the products that you see locally today are not BIS certified. The good brands do it, but of course that costs them. So the prices go up. So as a parent, you sometimes buy a cheaper version, but the cheaper version is of course not the best for the kid. So we curated our best product line. We got the convenience in, and at the same time we made sure that the reusability is to the fullest. And probably today we would have, in last 5 months, that's a journey have been after our launch. We would have almost rotated about 5,000 odd toys between 800 plus parents and more than 2,000 plus orders. So it feels good, right? I mean, if you put it into kgs, I mean, probably we would have saved 10,000 kgs of plastic just in a period of 5 months.
Truly appreciate and understand what you're trying to accomplish here. Whenever we talk about sustainability, we talk about sustainable products and services, a sustainable lifestyle. There's always this, and I would say most of them are really myths, in the sense that you probably will have to go outside of your normal way of doing things. It's expensive, and it's not something. It's not for everyone. That seems to be the understanding. Whenever we talk about sustainability, we talk about climate, and it almost, and I think there's a group, how do you call those conspiracy theorists who believe that it's a hoax, and there are many things going on out there. As a person who believes in leading a sustainable lifestyle and an entrepreneur who's focused on sustainability, how do you navigate through these challenges? Because I think at the end of the day, I feel that, and I think I've shared this with you before, we have far too many challenges in the world. But I think what people don't realize is that the biggest challenge we face today is climate and our planet. And, if you don't have that, what are we fighting for at the end of the day?
See, I would want to put it a little more simpler. What you said is absolutely right. The moment you complicate it for people, that you're doing it for planet, you're doing it for saving Earth, you're doing it for saving XYZ, it gets complicated. And it looks like, okay, this is the most difficult thing to achieve. But when you just put simple things on record, get your own bag, get your own bottle, reuse a plastic bottle, use glass bottles, etc., etc., it's easy. So I would say that, we need a group of people who focus on creating policies. That's how government operates, right? We cannot allow everybody to make policies. So few people who can make policies which are best suited for the earth. And rest of the people are just getting the simplified versions. That, okay, the simple version, when you go to a shopping mart, you're not supposed to get a plastic bag. You make it simple for them.
I think that's something which is so much easier to embrace and accept, correct?
Correct. So that's the point. The moment you complicate it for a common man, it keeps on getting complicated.
I like it, when I order something from Zepto, they have that little column checked, without the bag.
Absolutely.
And it's your choice. They're coming to your house. You don't really need that. I mean, you can just take the goods inside, right?
Correct. So, and that's a very simple thing for a common man to just say whether I want a
Yeah.
bag, I don't want a bag.
True.
He's not even caring about sustainability at that point of time.
Absolutely.
But he's like, why do I keep a clutter?
Mhm.
Or if you just charge, say, 2 rupees extra,
Hmm.
trust me, half of the world will become more sustainable. You just add a cost to all these waste.
It's like those, when you people used to break those traffic rules a lot when the fines were hardly anything.
Yeah.
The moment you start,
Absolutely.
everything changes, right?
You see people coming out today from all these malls taking things in hand
Hmm.
because the paper bags cost them 10-20 bucks.
Yes.
Earlier they were like, bhaiya, ek aur de do, ek aur de do, ek aur de do.
True.
You know? And that's how it can be done. You know, if you overcomplicate it by educating a lot about it,
Mhm.
it will be difficult. Same as with the EleFant. You know, we might talk a lot about sustainability, but trust me, I cannot talk about it to probably even 10 out of 100 people who
Mhm.
will understand and appreciate the
What
fact.
you're.
For probably 70 of them, the better deal is that, okay, my money is saved.
Hmm.
For 20 of them, the deal is, okay, my home is less cluttered.
Hmm.
For 10 of them, it is like, okay, yes, I'm reusing and I'm doing something better for the planet Earth.
Hmm.
Ideally, all 100 are doing better for the planet Earth because the concept is like that.
Yeah.
But if you tell me to sell everybody on that zone,
It's not going to
no,
happen.
it's not going to happen.
True.
That's
True.
the point.
So let me directly get into some of the challenges, or at least the perceived challenges around sustainability. I think I'll go through point by point. First and foremost, they say being a sustainable entrepreneur or being an entrepreneur focused on sustainability, access to funding seems to be a challenge. Is that true?
No, not really. Indeed, there are a lot of funds today who promote ESG,
Mhm.
environment, social impacts, that they would specifically give funds for that. At the same time, even today's VC, they think, see, it's a buzzword, as you said, right?
Hmm.
So even if you talk it like a buzzword, and I'm being very direct over here, even if you talk it like a buzzword, it acts in your favor.
Hmm.
So definitely, if you're sustainable, people want you to access funds because they know that this is the future.
So that also means a few years back, there were challenges to funding to where it is today.
Absolutely, yes, because it adds up to the cost.
Hmm.
See, a plastic bag example, it's a common most example that we all can understand, would have costed, say, 20 paisa or 30 paisa on your cost sheet. Now you say that I would replace it with a paper pouch. It costs you 1.5 rupee. Your entire profitability gets impacted.
True.
That for some people was a challenge while funding you because you have reduced the profitability by almost 6 to 7% just on packaging. But when you do that, someone lately have realized that, okay, I can add to my pricing 2 rupees and make it look good. Plastic looks cheap. Paper looks so more polished. Even if I don't have to talk about sustainability over here, just the feel of the product. Today, we all love when we get those nice cartons of paper boxes as against those old shabby plastics when we are ready to pay more.
True.
So people have realized that, okay, just by being sustainable, you can actually charge a premium. So this is for the Marwadi in me, but then I'm being very candid with you that it works both ways. See, if you can do, if be it in the name of cost saving, be it in the name of charging premium, be it in the name of anything else, if you're moving to a sustainable life, I'm open to it.
The high initial cost has always been a cause for concern, right? So when we talk about sustainable clothing vis-a-vis the fast-moving ones, I think that is one of the reasons why, and I think a lot of brands globally have drawn a lot of flack over it, and they are trying to, in some, I don't know if it's token gesture, but some of the brands are really moving in that direction. But the high initial cost, that still remains a challenge, right, for a sustainability entrepreneur.
Absolutely. So, I mean, see, very frankly, Santosh, it depends on what is your larger goal. I won't deny there are people who, in the name of sustainability, are charging a premium. You know, where the initial cost might not be high, and that's where they get a flag from the internet and everybody. You know, you can't just probably put a shirt or a trouser out at 10,000, 20,000 bucks just because you said this is made out of a sustainable cotton. You know, so we need to find out ways. They might be incurring cost initially, but then if you want to go on a path, you might want to reduce down your own profit as well to make it more acceptable. And again, as I said, people at the end of the day don't want to follow the theory blindly unless they are in complete despair. So till the time you tell them that from tomorrow there is no petrol available, they're not going to save it. And they know that petrol not being available is not going to happen. So it's like this, right? You need to make it simple for them. So if a sustainable cloth is available at say 2,000 bucks and something which is not sustainable is available at 1,500 bucks, people moving to 2,000 bucks is easy. So initial cost is high. At the same time, if somebody tries to manage the cost better, it can be made affordable. And maybe that's where the funds are required. You make people habituated to something, grow it to the volume, and with volume your cost comes down.
Sure.
So that's the entire intent, where if a path is taken, it is taken in full transparency, both by the corporates as well as by the entrepreneurs, not using sustainability as a word or a buzzword to probably charge a premium to your product.
All right. So we talk about another, most discussed challenge, which is supply chain complexity. They say that building a sustainable supply chain involves sourcing eco-friendly materials, and it's not all that easy.
See, it's a fact. It's a fact because it works on a demand and supply, and like any other supply chain, it's a pure demand and supply. If more people are demanding eco-friendly products, it's going to be easier to get the supply. As any other supply chain, it needs an initial effort. And then once it's set, it's set. But if I have to just answer directly, yeah, today environmentally friendly supply is difficult and it needs a push, and that's where the policy formation comes over. If you just ban some of the things and you allow people to have XYZ as a raw material, which is more sustainable option, it slowly works. Like single-use plastic. I can give you a common example from my experience at Chai Point maybe. All the paper cups that you used to see earlier, they had a plastic film inside.
Yes.
Okay. Government banned it. They gave some time. ITC, which is one of the largest producer of paper, decided one day that I'm not putting this film. Okay. And now as a supply chain buyer, I got impacted. Because my vendors are now saying that they don't have paper and I'm mandatorily needing only ITC paper. So then effectively, they came up with a solution, an aqueous solution, which is basically a chemical kind of a thing which gives a layer, and the strength to paper. Suddenly it became available. So there was a disruption of about a 15-20 day to a month. But post that, immediately the supply got slowly started. But we insisted that we want that. There were two options available to us. One is taking a backdoor of using the same banned paper. Or the second is to just let things get disrupted for some time, and then you find the answer to your solutions.
I think this is interesting because there have been bans effectively earlier too, but somehow this time around in the past few years, the plastic ban and many such things, the push from the government, I think that in many ways has enhanced and helped in the way sustainability initiatives have moved forward. I thought the whole plastic ban would probably not last for a long time, but it did. Finally things are moving in that direction. So I think some amount of courage needs to come at that policy level to be able to get things moving on the ground.
Absolutely. And the courage at the policy level, the fear. See, we humans are driven by fear. You tell me the ban, if you are fined non-compliant, you'll be charged 5,000 rupees. It's okay, I can do it. If you tell me you'll be banned for a year for production 5 lakh rupees, you'll be like, I don't want to take risk. So over the last few years, these implementations have got a good amount of fear as well.
True.
And that has precisely worked. it was still slow. I won't say that, you banned plastic and then suddenly next day everything was out. But people wanted to consume their inventory, which government also allowed it. But nobody went on to buying new.
Yes.
And that because of fear, because of a stronger policy push, and at the same time giving them time to actually figure out the supply chain, which you were just asking the last question.
Sure.
So, you initially put a slow and easy implementation, telling them, okay, this is a warning, this is a warning, this is a warning. And you keep pondering upon the fine or the impact that it can happen on you. And that's how it gets implemented. So slowly the backend supply was getting created. Slowly the availability of raw material was easy. And that's how it has been done. And as I said earlier, right, you cannot implement all this by telling them all good about not using plastic.
Yes.
It has no meaning. Okay. And that's how it should be. It has a meaning to the world at large. It has a meaning to the policy formation people and those what it matters. It does not matter whether every common man understands why a plastic is banned or not. So that's how it should be. It's a clear democracy where few people make policies and we all have to follow it. And that's where the implementations have been good recently.
In recent times, startups have really grown in our country, and I think a lot has to do with doing away with several compliances, mundane compliances which were there. Tell me, when it comes to sustainability, especially firms focusing on this, do you feel we still have there are still certain compliances which we can do away with? Do you think those are some of the roadblocks where extra bit of paperwork or certain, how do I put this? There still needs a lot to be done. In the sense that you still face challenges.
Absolutely. See, as a startup, when you start, right? I was lucky that I'm a chartered accountant. So some of the compliances, at least from a company formation standpoint, it's easy. See, these are one of the aspect. But to do a business,
any business,
there are so many rules, from Factories Act to Pollution Control Board norms to XYZ Act, to Apprentice Act, whatever you do today. Even for that matter, in the EleFant, right, we deal in toys. You have a BIS certification, but how does it work? What does it have to imply with what you need to do from a GST angle, from a toys safety angle, from what you need to tell your consumers to be aware about? There are multiple rules. That definitely creates complication. That is definitely not written in black and white very conveniently. And maybe it's a time that, we need to have those. In our childhood, we used to have something called as a detailed textbook and a refresher, which is like a 10-pointer. We should believe in that. You see, it's not fair on an entrepreneur to probably know all the rules. At the same time, you cannot. We are all afraid of being into non-compliance. So, I might not even want to do something if I don't know it, as against doing it and then getting stuck for a compliance season.
Which was actually something which used to happen earlier, right? If I remember correctly, a few years back, I don't know, when I say few, it's probably 10 years back or 15 years back, when you have those mandatory medical bills coming in the farm slips.
Absolutely.
And I would just wonder how, I remember some of my co-workers putting in medical bills, and I would just look at sometimes and I would say, how often have you fallen ill through the year? And I'm glad those things are now done away with. But tell me something, as an entrepreneur, especially focusing on what you're focusing on, you spoke about the big guide and the refresher. There has to be a balance, right? You can't just let some people have complete free hand. We have to make sure that certain processes are met with and we are compliant on certain things. What do you think can be done away with, and what do you think where should the government move towards this?
See, I'm definitely not the best guy to comment what to be done away with.
But as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you can.
So I am simply trying to say that, you need to make it a little more simpler. Again, I'm using the word simpler because, so for an example, you talk about, say, document filing. We today would file tons and tons of papers to MCA or to ROC for the yearly reports, signing signatures, etc., that they require on hard copies, the bank papers, the banking documents. I mean, even today, I mean, probably we opened up an account and I would have like literally signed up on 25, 30 pages. Not required. Some of the
True.
banks have moved to soft versions, but most of them are not. Now, when you talk about what needs to be changed and what need not to be, see, these questions needs to be taken in two forms. One is whether we are just trying to make the entire process sustainable. That is by, say, reducing paper, reducing time effort, reducing money wastage, etc. And second, we are making it easier for corporates to run. Okay. Making it sustainable probably is easy in the sense, you digitize everything. Whatever forms you are taking today, you just file it online. You make sure that everything is through an online mechanism. There is no printout required for anything. We can do away with printouts in many forms. Probably we have reached a time where we talk about UPI so much. Just do away with checks. Why do we even need a check? So just mandatorily stop it. No requirement. And
We're all waiting for that day, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At the same time, so this is one way of just making it more sustainable. But from the question of how easy or difficult it is to comply with all these processes, I mean, yeah, it's still difficult. You need an expert, you need a guidance, and then also you don't trust always because you're afraid of the penalty and everything that can happen on you. So maybe a simpler way, giving a warning, and sort of any time a corporate is starting, if there can be a direct connect or a 1 point spoke by the government who tells what needs to be complied with, it can be a great idea.
So one is, of course, I spoke about the regulatory compliance from a general startup,
Correct.
and this was more from a sustainability perspective, right? Coming to that, talent, and I know that we are a country with vast resources.
Correct.
And great resources, a young population. Is it still very easy to have access to resources, especially, and I'm asking especially in terms of sustainability businesses?
Not really. I mean, in one word answer, it's not really. Purely because it's experience, right? We're a
Right.
country which is growing in this concept. So most of us have never even lived a sustainable life, and we still aren't. So how are we expecting things to be experienced by somebody when a talent comes in? The good part is that the talent is moldable. People today are very much flexible. They are not rigid. Probably like our ancestors. कि नहीं हमने तो कहा है ऐसे ही होगा. Now that doesn't happen. People are happy to accept, and if you tell them once that okay, this is the best way for the environment, they are happy to accept it. So that way talent molding is easy, and getting a direct talent is probably hard. At the same time, what is easy is if you write today that you want somebody for, say, a job which is more sustainable in nature and can be environment friendly. There are people who want to apply from front even if the salary is low, because people today want to live that life and become sort of a role model to many. That's their fun or punch in their life. So that is happening. So yeah, to clear answer, I mean, ready talent is not there, but a moldable talent is definitely there.
My favorite of all the challenges is, again, going back to the conspiracy theorists and the concept of greenwashing. What do you do with them? How do you deal with them?
See, as I said, and my way of dealing with them is don't even expect them to know. I mean, to learn that. Simply figure out a way to explain them either by cost saving or by penalty. It's as simple as that. If somebody says nothing in this world is gonna change by saving plastic, okay, make plastic expensive. They will move to paper. So you cannot explain it to everybody. See, everybody's business is aligned. A plastic manufacturer will always feel government is doing bad.
Right.
He has been earning his bread and butter with this. You cannot just one day randomly stand up and say that this is wrong.
True.
He's been doing this forever in life. So it's the same way, right? You cannot. There are theories might be true because we, as the first word that we said that today sustainability is a very high buzzword. Every product will just have a recyclable logo and will increase up the price. Every product will say that I'm better than this because I'm using organic things. I mean, the other guy is also not using anything that inorganic, right? Replacing one chemical by other does not make you environment friendly. So this conspiracy does exist, true at some sense, not true in multiple times, because it's the personal impact of the people creating the conspiracy. For me, the best way is, I mean, either show them the saving or show them the penalty. Probably it will become easier for the world to align to it.
I just love the way you put it. You know, I think one of the things which India today is going through is phenomenal boost in infrastructure. I mean,
Yeah,
the way we are
yeah.
growing. And that used to be at one point a challenge, especially when you're looking at sustainable business model, right? Energy grids and the works.
Correct.
Do you see, I mean, I definitely see India as one of the countries which is actually been consciously taking efforts. I for one, I'm extremely bullish about the way we are moving forward
Absolutely.
in the model. Do you feel infrastructure obviously plays a key role? And you spoke about talent, we spoke about viability, we spoke about supply chain complexity. What else do you see are, from your perspective, challenges which you feel needs to be addressed?
See, I think some of the challenges are very, very obvious. You
Hmm.
talk about air pollution,
Mhm.
and I'm making it very simple. Let's not go into any complicated words also.
Yes, you're a simple man, Saurabh.
Yeah. So you talk about air, you talk about water, you talk about climate, you talk about scarcity.
Hmm.
Okay? These are there. Come what may, these are there. So every time you build an infrastructure project, probably you're taking away some green field,
Hmm.
which will impact, and we all have seen that.
Hmm.
So it's not anymore unseen. We are seeing a rise in temperature. We are seeing glaciers getting melted. All is happening. Probably what we need to do is, we cannot stop the growth.
Absolutely.
No one is asking that.
But we need to have a
balance.
balance, right?
So if you can't do tree plantation on the land, do vertical tree plantation.
Hmm.
Or all the bridges that are being made. And today, I'm happy that Bombay does that. Every bridge that is made newly will have a sort of a green area underneath. Of course, not the best that you can have, but it's still a step towards it. So you start creating some simpler ways of compensating it.
So true, Saurabh. And this is very personal to me, because at the end of the day, when we talk about development and when we talk about growth, great, we all want it. For whom? For the people, right? And I
Correct.
think today, and I completely understand that we are a developing country, but there is still a vast majority of people who still need basic needs. They have their basic
Correct.
needs. And I feel that there can be no climate justice without economic justice, right? So you have to
Balance it.
make sure that
It goes to the very basic, what you're saying, and what probably we all have learned in our maybe the first standard, and now the kids are learning at age of 3. Just the 3 simple words: reduce, reuse, recycle.
absolutely.
In whatever form you can.
Hmm.
In whatever form you can. It's gonna benefit. And trust me, if people don't understand how to save air pollution, how to protect water pollution, just they all know how to reduce their usage.
Hmm.
They all know how to reuse a particular product,
Hmm.
and they all know that you should buy something that is recyclable. Even if we apply these 3 basic, KG1 grade studies that we have done, I think we would turn into a far more sustainable environment. No more complication involved.
Absolutely. Simplicity is the key, Saurabh.
Absolutely. So, that's what we do. So you tell your kids to reuse toys, you tell your kids not to reduce some of the buyings that you do for your kid,
Hmm.
and you start sharing it with somebody so that the people who are, not equipped to buy them can get them. So as against you throwing it off. So, you can simply apply these small techniques in your daily living without even saying that I've changed anything or done anything major to be a sustainable person.
So, all right, Saurabh, now we move into the segments. We have 3 segments: what matters, what's
Okay.
brewing, and some rapid fire.
Wow.
So, what matters? And as I said, that our planet matters, sustainability matters. My first question to you would be, what do you think entrepreneurs should consider when they are starting up a sustainable venture?
So the first thing is, I mean, they should just consider, are they really doing something that matters? As your section says. It's not like you changing one chemical to another chemical. It's not you saving probably say one type of a raw material and moving to another type of raw material, and in fact net nothing is getting saved. You're moving from one type of plastic to say another type of plastic. It's not just the way of sustainability, right? So you can't just do that. So one is it really going to impact? And is it really required at this stage? And is it a problem statement? So from an entrepreneur standpoint who feels that they want to get into a sustainable startup, first is of course what does it impact at? Second, is it scalable? See, it's easy to just start something and say that, okay, I've made probably a furniture out of an air, or out of anything, any bamboo or a waste of paper. But is it sustainable? Is it scalable? So one is doing things out of passion, but what also matters, if you really want to be into an entrepreneurial journey, it needs to be scalable. So those are the two factors, importance and scalability, that before somebody starts a sustainable venture, they should definitely think about it. So I'm not trying to demotivate or say a no to people who are just doing it for small sizes. But if they can think a little bit more to what they are thinking, probably that can really change the way it works.
So, and this is, any startup will face a similar situation. How do you think, and a sustainable startup, how do you think they can balance profitability with the environmental and social impacts? How do you do that?
See, very frankly, they can do that by being honest. Okay.
You'll have to tell me more.
Yeah, I'm getting there. So when you say that there is a certain cost assigned or aligned to do something, let's just put it that, plus a marginal business profit of 10, 15, 20%, what is acceptable? Not because you have been, or you have suddenly found a product that's definitely sustainable and you start charging premium for it. So that's the best way. So first is, do you really want to be equal to both of it? And second is, you need to, again, it goes back to the same point, that you need to be honest that you should make profit. So a reasonable profit is all good till the time your cost sheet is aligned to it, and you should have ways to reduce it with volumes. So when scalability put up with honesty, I think you will be able to equate both.
And I think
my worry, and I'm just extending a point, my worry these days is, and I'm being candid again, that because of the buzzword, there is a trend of being sustainable, which is not great for the environment nor for the society. You don't want something to be forced on people at an expensive price and they being pinched that, okay, you're not being sustainable if you don't do that.
Okay.
So yes. Yeah, go ahead.
And no, and I think the consumer definitely needs to play a very important role in driving the demand, like any other business, correct?
Absolutely. So as I've been saying in the entire episode, right, that stop expecting consumers to change the way of their living just because you are being sustainable. You need to give them more. You need to be affordable. You need to be scalable. You need to be as per their requirement. And of course, environment friendly. We cannot, we can have a traction of around 5-10% of population who would want everything to be organic, everything to be very sustainable, etc., etc. But a lot of our people, if you really want to make a business which is for the people at large, you need to give them what they want as well.
Is there any way entrepreneurs are able to measure or track, the sustainability impact of their businesses? Is there any way to do that?
So there are these studies available, that how much carbon credit do you have, how much plastic did you save. People do these exercises. I'm not sure on their accuracy, etc. But there are ways to do that. There are ways to see. It's like if you have used X product, how much of Y have you saved? So those kind of statistics are available, and that's the best measurement probably for a startup to be. See, again, it's the same thing. If you're making a product which is recyclable, it's recyclable. Now, as against quantum of measurement, probably whether it's 100% recyclable or not, that should matter the most. If people automatically start using it, it will definitely keep recycling itself.
Could you share some example of sustainable startups that have really made an impact? I mean, you look at them and you say, okay, this is the way to.
So I would avoid naming a startup, but I will tell you the products which are easy. Clothing, definitely easy. You get sustainable cotton today at a very normal, affordable prices, and it ranges. You can get it at say $2,000 to $20,000, depend on your choice. So one thing that probably it's easy for us to move on. Sustainable organic food edibles, like dal, pulses, the way they grow it have changed. Milk, the way milk is being manufactured have gone through a lot of sustainable fodders, etc. And it's been easy. Or organic plus sustainable together walks the path. Furniture, using as simple as say a clay cup as against a paper cup, using not using a plastic bottle, using a glass bottle. These are a lot more simpler ways, and a lot of startups have done work in it and have been scalable also. So that's probably my way, where, or maybe even the EleFant for that matter, where you reuse. So a lot of companies which promote reusability. You talk about carpooling. It's kind of a sustainable way in a certain sense. So these are small aspects that anyone can put it up into their living. You stop taking plastic, you use a hard cloth bag and you start shopping in it. So no paper, no plastic. You're far more.
You're talking about the culture of sustainability within organizations, right? I mean, how these examples which you just shared.
And these are the examples that I have done it in my life. The easier ones. I'm definitely telling you that probably I'm not the one that might end up checking on everything whether I do is sustainable or not, because it's difficult. But the easier ones I do follow, and these are some of the ones that that you can easily manage it. Be it changing what what you're wearing, be it what you are eating, be it how you are shopping, or what you're wearing. Like probably shoes today. There are a lot of shoes which are without leather and using sugarcane, bamboos. There are bagasse plates which are far more sustainable than paper plates or other cutleries that are coming. So these are simpler ways. You want to adopt it. And that is what I would probably do in my own life. And that has impacted because it's easy today to get all of them.
I think one can also leverage the power of storytelling to communicate sustainable ways of running a business or sustainable business, correct? I mean, I feel that the more... okay, let me put it this way. I think we need to talk a lot more about these sustainable stories.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, but without using the word sustainable multiple times.
True.
So you simply say that this is an easy way to live life, which also protects something. People are happy to accept. Let's not get into a zone of forcing it and overdoing it. And storytelling, as you rightly said, is the best way.
Yeah.
So when I tell people, there are people, probably your employees, they see you. Right. They look at you, right?
Correct.
So when they simply see you, okay, this guy, a 20-year-old guy probably might see me because he's an intern with me and he's seeing how my senior is behaving. So when he sees, okay, he's wearing this kind of shoes which are made out of, waste products. He's eating in a bagasse plate. He's not using plastic glasses. It's easy for people to accommodate. He uses shared cab. He does not always want to have the most luxurious things available, kind of a storytelling. So when you tell this to your juniors, when you tell this to your employees, when you tell this to your counterparts, friends, families, they're able to adopt it.
It's interesting you say this. Earlier today, I was in a workshop on storytelling and how it helps entrepreneurs. And it was a small group, about 30 odd people. One of the things I realized was everybody was wanting to talk about their story.
Correct.
And that's when I realized that all that they need is to start somewhere. Yeah. And my message through my experiences, I shared with them that you just start telling. It'll just... you may not be perfect. You may not get everything right.
Correct.
But as you keep telling these stories to different stakeholders, different people, the message will resonate if there is honesty and the intent is true.
Correct.
It really works.
Yeah, because you connect humans, right? We're humans.
Yes.
We only connect to emotions.
How much of a role technology plays, especially when it comes to sustainability?
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
See, technology has its own waste. Okay, but let's leave that apart. But very basic again, starting digitization. A lot of probably wood or paper is not wasted because of technology. A simple technology of hand shower or hand wash, which stops when you take out your hand, is the easiest form of technology put to saving. Simplest form of lights. When you are out of a cabin, the lights get switched off automatically. These are all technology, right? They realize that humans are lazy. They realize that you cannot keep telling them, shut the tap, shut the tap, shut the tap, switch off the lights. You automate it. And I'm talking about very generic and a basic ones. Technology also tells you the data around it, the statistics around it, what is consuming more of our resources. So you can definitely work on it. What generates how much amount of wastages, etc. So, technology plays a very important role, be it in a common way of living or any startup today. For an example, today we, through technology, know about anything about every toy that we buy. So, maybe I'm buying that toy, but I know what kind of products, chemicals, or waste it is generating. So you can probably together, whenever you find tomorrow a sustainable option or a better option, you can easily move because you have comparable.
Sure.
So everything today revolves around data. Everything today revolves around usage of technology or AI in that zone. And automizing a lot of stuff which can save is important. From using probably an electric vehicle is again a technology, right? So those are the impacts that a technology will always have on an environment and a startup, and without it, it won't be possible to probably change 100%.
This is something which for me, it's very intriguing. There are innovative ways
Correct.
to work around sustainable business models. But there are also ethical considerations you need to take care to consider, right? What are those?
See, the ethical considerations are, something which is not wrong for the society. For an example, simple being, simplest of being which you will or anybody can understand is, say, putting a child labor, not ethical. Making people slog 16 hours, telling them to go down into shit and then manholes, not ethical. Probably does not even, whether it's sustainable or not is a different matter. It's not ethical to put a human inside a manhole and then ask him to clean it up, right? So even in a common day-to-day life of entrepreneurial journey, you have a lot of ethical and non-ethical decisions to make. Whether you talk about transactions being done through bank recording, etc., that's one way of ethics. Second is, how do you treat your employees, your team members? That's another. Whom do you deploy? That probably the other one. So these are the ethical concerns that somebody can have, apart from just being sustainable. So and everyday life, may we keep thinking. My funda of deciding whether something is ethical or not is, would I have liked it this way? Or if somebody would have done this to me? If the answer is no, it is unethical. That's the simplest form of judgment that as a person you can have. Probably we cannot follow a Bible every time to decide what's ethical, what's unethical. But if you are okay with what is to be done with someone, and if it is okay, if it is done with you, then probably that's ethical.
What would be, based on your experience, and I want to definitely now talk a little bit about what the EleFant does, which will come in our What's Brewing section, where we talk about what would be your advice for entrepreneurs who are passionate and about getting into a sustainable business model. What do you think? What would be your take?
So my advice would be, just get in. The world will need sustainable options. There is no denial about it. Whether people today understand or not, they will need it.
Sure.
That's the bottom line. Now, second, learn to communicate it. Either you communicate through the ways of storytelling, or through making them afraid of something, or through cost saving or any other way. Don't enforce your passion, but mold it in a way that they understand the language that they want to listen. At the same time, your passion is persuaded. That's what probably the elephant is. I mean, as I was mentioning, I cannot enforce a parent that please reuse, please reuse, please reuse. It's important for the environment. It's very, very important. 7% of the world's landfill is toys. It's the most unsustainable product. You should not buy. They will decide not to buy toy. Okay, I am not able to communicate the way that we are trying to say. They're saying इतना ही खराब है ना तो बंद कर देते हैं खरीदना. But that effectively impacts a kid. That effectively impacts the entire generation. If they are not playing with toy, they'll probably go on the mobile phone. So then the way that we have approached it is depending on the person. If he understands this language, we explain him that how reusability can help the environment. If not, we tell about that this is the way that you can give your kid a lot of options at a very, very, very minimalistic cost. Or this is the way how you can keep your home clean by not having too much of clutter or waste at your home. Not talking about the world per se, but just your home. So they understand that. See, it's all about who understands what language. Finally, what as a passionate founder I am driving is reuse of a product that really does not have a life. I was telling somebody today, a watch comes for 2,000 rupees, runs for probably 2 years, 700 odd days. A jeans comes for 2,000 rupees, runs for probably a year, 360 odd days. A toy that comes for 2,000 rupees probably does not have a life more than 8 to 10 days. So, even economically, it's not a wise decision.
Yeah.
So, whether my passion is to make it reusable as my journey's ethos or anything else, the end goal is very clear that we want people to reuse products.
Sure.
So my suggestion to anybody is just find a story that can be sold to the larger audience in the way that they want to listen it.
Sure.
And keep your passion alive.
Super. Although I would, on a lighter note, tend to disagree on the jeans because, I use mine for a long, long time to come. But
So that's for unsustainable people who use it for a year.
All right. So we get to the next segment. What's brewing? And I think I'll kind of divide this segments in two parts. One is, of course, the industry, which we've spoken a lot. But tell me what's brewing at the EleFant right now.
So what's brewing at the EleFant? I mean, we are actually brewing very hot and very, very, very strongly today. We are present in 14 cities in last span of just 5 months.
Awesome.
We could expand our scale on two fronts. One, creating our partners. So we are not just promoting toy play, but we are also promoting women entrepreneurship in a certain way where we have a librarian model.
Okay.
So, where women who probably have decided to prioritize their family over their career can become a part of this journey, can become a librarian, operate out of their home and convenience and become a partner. So that's one, we have today 40 plus partners. So, personally, I'm proud because, if as a nation we want to be 5 trillion economy, this 25% of population, which is educated and sitting at home, needs to be independent.
Absolutely.
But not at the cost of leaving values, culture, etc. So I don't deny that maybe their decision is wrong or right. Probably, a woman deciding to prioritize a family probably is the right decision for her and for her family. But they not being independent is a bad decision for the nation. So we are very proud that not just we are sustainable for toys, but we also have a way to make them independent through our librarian model. So we are continuously growing our partners there. At the same time, our subscribers are increasing. Parents are loving it. I can tell you a very real story which just came across. So there was this 6-year-old guy, a kid. So her mom was very disturbed कि हम कहीं भी बाहर जाते हैं ना, this guy just wants a new thing. So I told, and they came to us and they loved the concept. They took a subscription or a membership. After that, she called me and said, so because I was at the event, so I was directly interacting with her. And she took my number directly. So she called me after some time and said, Saurabh, this is fantastic. I said, but what happened? She's like, now my kid has realized that I can control what I want. So she has given the app to the kid. Kids decide what comes and what goes. And suddenly the entire craving to own things has gone down for that little kid of 6 years. I mean, maybe there was too much of depth in what she said, but I understood in a way that one, her kid understood reusability. Her kid understood that he does not need new things constantly. He
Sure.
can also achieve it through the simple use of app. And his playtime can be far better because he now decides which toy he wants to play with. So that was fantastic. And probably we are having these stories almost every day. And that's kept us brewing all the time. We are always on the hunt that what better we can do for people at EleFant.
Anything in recent times in terms of trends or developments that has caught your attention?
So within the industry, if I have to say, so Lego for that matter.
I love Legos.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. But Lego is one of the most environmentally unfriendly products. Even Lego has committed that they will become...
Cut. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
So even Lego has committed that they will become plastic free by 2030.
Yeah.
So they are starting to use sugarcane waste and other ways to build their blocks. That is really amazing. Because if brands like that goes down to the level, maybe under pressure, I'm not sure what is driving Lego to convert into sustainability, maybe under pressure of the entire world. But yes, it's happening.
I'm glad that these pressures are happening. Believe me.
Absolutely.
It needs to happen somewhere.
It needs to happen, and great that brands are finding ways to do this.
Sure.
Maybe they were existing probably 100 years back also.
Yeah.
But because the pressure was not there, it's being tried now.
But I do want to ask, now when they get, they're under pressure, and I'm sorry, I might sound a little agitated or angry here. So this is something they could have done from the very beginning, right? Why was the need to be pushed to a certain point for them to be able to do this? It's just...
See, I think that's how human works. The easiest was... the plastic has always been the easiest product in this world. Can be molded, can be shaped into anything.
True.
The easiest, the cheapest, and the most scalable commodity that is available is plastic without a doubt. Okay. So when you get too greedy, you want to still continue that.
True.
And that probably has happened with a lot of, brands that way. But now under pressure, they are finding alternatives because finally, again, they are greedy and they don't want to lose whatever was there.
Do you believe these global events, the climate strikes, and the protests which are happening, in many ways they're influencing the sustainability?
Absolutely. See, they might not impact you and me directly. I mean, when somebody is protesting for climate, probably you and I don't stop doing anything in life, but it does ring a bell in policymakers.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. Not every agitation is successful, but repeated agitation around a same fact or a repeated ringing of the bell with the same concept has really awakened a lot of it.
Do you think these circular economy models today, which are present right now, that would probably help in reducing a lot of waste and building a lot of efficiencies?
Absolutely. Circular economy is a way to go, and especially for products that does not have a utility beyond a certain time.
Sure.
It's the way to go. So, I mean, one of the product that we deal into is toys. It does not have a utility beyond 5-6 days.
Yes.
Circular economy is a way. Because nowhere we are promoting not to have toys. Let's get it straight. Toys needs to be consumed more and more and more by kids. But if we can do it through a circular economy, then why not? So same way, there are a lot of such areas where circular economy can really play a great part. And that needs to be promoted, because what it does not change your way of living.
No.
But it still helps the environment.
Sure.
When you say that you cannot use it, it changes the way of your living. But when you say that, okay, you can probably rotate it, reuse it, then we are okay with it.
It's interesting. We talk about government policies and regulatory reforms. I think as individuals, as members of this civilization, there are certain changes which we need to do also.
Correct.
You know, in our lifestyles, in the way we conduct our day-to-day lives. I think that in itself can give the much needed push.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will go back to my comment. It's all about just reduce, reuse, and recycle. You just follow these 3 simple steps as a common man, and probably it saves a lot.
Do you see any emerging consumer trends which you feel can help organizations, especially the consumer trends, which can probably help you know, entrepreneurs and sustainability ventures to leverage?
So I think one of the trend is people understanding it, and people are okay to try it out. And the best part about the new ventures is they are giving the same feel. So if you talk about, say, a sustainable, food, or even the commodities that we were buying, probably gives the same taste now. So you're not leaving anything, or footwears, or clothing, or your makeup, etc. Which are the most common consumer things. We suddenly have not realized how did we move to everything being sustainable there, or everything being organic, because it has not changed the way you were living. So brands are definitely doing their lot to do this. And for anybody who wants to get into this zone, I think the basic mantra is you don't change people. Just align them to something new, slowly but steadily, which has an impact on the environment. That's the key, which I think we can truly change the way we are doing this.
I also feel that, for example, traditional industries, the moment like agriculture, fashion, consumer durables, I think the moment they start getting disrupted, a lot will change.
Absolutely. And today it has. People have got alternatives. And comparable alternatives, both in terms of price and quality. So there are a lot of disruptions around, agriculture, where it's so easy to get an organic food today. There are a lot of disruptions around your clothing, which we've always discussed, around your consumer goods, in terms of makeup, in terms of utilities, etc. And people are happy to buy. So if you give me an option that this is a non-sustainable product and this is sustainable, people buy that brand because of sustainability. So it is to do both with branding, both with awareness, and at the same time being easily available. So scale, as I say, the better the scale is, the easier it is to probably get it.
I mean, we can talk about reducing food wastage. We can talk about renewable energy. I mean, look at these areas.
Correct. Look at solar, look at renewable energies. I mean, a simple concept of putting a solar panel on a building floor or a factory shed has just converted so much.
And I think from being an entrepreneur myself, and I think one of the things is investors prioritizing sustainable business models and sustainability in general can really bring about a huge change.
Absolutely. So, and it's actually today. So you had asked a question, probably that point didn't come out that time, that do we get funds easily if we are sustainable? Yes or no? If you're non-sustainable, trust me, you're not going to get any money.
Yeah.
If you have any component of using a product which is not sustainable for the environment, using a product which is unethical to the environment, your funding is definitely going to be bad. Because investors today have realized that there is no point in putting money, even if it's highly profitable, to something that can get banned.
Yeah.
They might not even be sustainable in their own life, but they want to avoid getting banned.
Yeah. And that comes back to the same thing which you said. Sometimes, when it comes, I mean, I'm sorry to be using this, when push comes to shove, I mean, you reach a stage where that's the only option left, or just shut shop.
Correct. So VCs or probably investors have been very open to sustainable ideas. Indeed, they are happy on that idea. They are happy to give a higher valuation. They are happy to promote it. And they also understand that it can take time, but whenever it is scaled, it will be really doing wonders. So that way, yes, I mean, sustainable entrepreneurship can have ease if done well. And of course, I mean, the basic has to be followed, that it should really have an impact.
campaigns, again going back to today's workshop with storytelling and entrepreneurship, we discussed a lot about campaigns and how campaigns make a difference through storytelling. Any specific campaign that is close to your heart when it comes to sustainability? Can we see one coming from the EleFant, and anything which really caught your attention?
No, so I think the Greta Thunberg campaign, Thunberg campaigns that happened in India was a benchmark. I mean, the little 14-year-old, if I'm not wrong, at that point of time, the little girl probably.
And look at the kind of things she had to put up with.
Absolutely.
I mean, in her own way, as a kid, she was just trying to show us the mirror, right?
Absolutely. And the best part is, because people heard it, that campaign still remains very, very, in people's mind. She still remains like a Godfather image for that campaign.
Yes.
And those are the things that we need probably every 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe one campaign, but that just stood out for everybody. I don't say that most of them even understood what she was trying to protect.
Yeah.
But at least 80 to 85% of the country would know, okay, there is something wrong in the way we are currently living. And we should look for alternates.
And I think what's very heartening is, Saurabh, to see kids, especially school kids, becoming more and more aware.
Absolutely. There was a very simple ad, I guess, by Maruti, if I'm not wrong, where the kid says that you should just shut off the engine. It's a waste of petrol, and that's an eye opener.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a real eye opener, because that's what we want. If these kids start speaking, I mean, as a parent or as an elder person, right, to them, you feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
That if a kid has to explain you what's right, and that's absolutely one thing that you will never ever do then. And I can tell you very frankly, that had an impact on me myself. You might probably leave engines on during your signals, but today probably if I see a signal beyond 30 seconds, I actually switch it off. And every time that little girl just comes over my mind and says, okay, why are you? So these small things can actually do an impact, and when it comes to EleFant campaign, maybe one day we would want to plan a lot of it. We do have a lot of ideas, but as I said, we don't want to overcomplicate probably at this stage of our venture. We know that we are on the right path now.
Talk to me a little bit more about the women entrepreneurship. I mean, how is it that you are and I think, again, coming back to the New India story, I think there is a lot of impetus being given to women.
Correct.
All aspects of life. I mean, and for me, the Republic Day was an absolute eye-opener, seeing an all-women parade.
Correct.
Moving in different... And I think they play an important role in shaping all of us who we are, right?
Correct.
So what do we know, or what do you want us to know about what the EleFant is doing as far as women entrepreneurs are concerned?
So one is to your point. I mean, it's high time that forget economic equality, but a gender equality comes in our nation.
Sure.
That's one thing. And what are we doing at EleFant is probably giving an opportunity to women to earn something without leaving their priorities. So, in a simple form, they become our librarians. They can operate out of their home and they just become our operational partners. We don't put them any pressure of sales or anything. So we are not an MLM kind of a model where they have to sell anything. They just have to run the operations of library from their home and convenience. Rest is managed by us. So we manage the technology, logistic and sales for them, and they become our operational partner. And for this, they get a risk-free return, etc., whatever that model is. But that just promotes independence in them. At the same time, it promotes their empowerment. Whatever you say, but a woman with some sort of an independence, of financial independence in her hand, can really do wonders for the society. Even if it is probably 20,000 a month, it puts man under control. It puts her words and value a lot more. And I have no denial in saying that. Woman makes the country,
Her whole society. I mean,
absolutely. One woman literate probably literates the entire community, which has been said long back. And it's still true for that. So we want to believe that, and in whatever limited way we can do, we are trying to promote that. Of course, it's a business model for us, but at the same time, it's a model where we are very clear that we are giving it back to them.
I'm certain as Ahana grows up and watches her dad, create this beautiful organization. So I think that was an interesting conversation around brewing. The final segment
Wow.
is the rapid fire questions.
Great.
Beach or mountains for your next eco-friendly vacation, if you do take one.
The beaches.
Uh-huh. One word to describe the future of sustainability.
I mean, one word, it's coming. It's a fact now.
Electric car or bike sharing for an urban transportation?
Probably car sharing. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, you don't want to put your way to live too much into things.
What is your biggest eco-friendly pet peeve?
Oh, probably using glass bottle.
If you could solve one sustainability challenge overnight, what would it be?
Make everybody play with reusable toys.
Mhm.
An elephant. I mean, it has my self-interest.
What's your go-to eco-conscious habit?
Basically, less of use. I mean, reduce the usage.
Mhm.
So the habit of probably not using AC. I've started with that unless required. So yeah, that's my latest trend. What I'm trying to do: avoid air condition wherever possible.
Yeah. Solar panels or wind turbines for renewable energy?
I'll go with wind turbines.
Mhm.
I'm very close. I've worked with Suzlon for a long time.
Uh-huh.
So maybe yes, that's where it's coming from. But yeah, wind energy is great.
Is there a favorite sustainability themed book or documentary which you would recommend or you've read?
No, not really.
Mhm.
I won't be able to probably give a direct answer to it, but I keep reading a lot of articles on the Better India. So if you want that, the Better India Sustainable column is one of the best.
Rainwater harvesting or grey water recycling for water conservation?
I mean, both has its pros and cons, and the best. So I think, yeah, still we need to do rainwater harvesting as a priority for the country like our size. We would want to do that more.
What do you think is the most underrated aspect of sustainable living?
That it's expensive. I mean, I'm saying out from the opposite end. The underrated aspect is that it really helps the environment. Probably people are not even believing that. And second, that its aspect of being very expensive is overrated or sort of that way.
DIY composting or community garden for reducing food waste?
Community garden.
Why do you say so?
It brings people together. It probably gives you courage to continue that. See, DIY has its own problem of getting that energy from within, right? So that's the only reason probably I would need people around to keep on doing something. But yeah.
Sustainable packaging, glass, paper or bioplastics?
I think we should still go with glass for that matter. To a certain extent, whatever I've read and whatever I've found it easier, glass works better.
Fair trade coffee or organic tea?
An organic tea.
Uh-huh.
I'm a tea person.
What's your top tip for living an eco-friendlier lifestyle?
Oh, again, the same thing. Just don't complicate yourself. Keep reducing, keep reusing, and keep recycling whatever you can.
Okay, the final question. What's that one sustainable swap that you've recently made that you love?
I think I have moved out of those plastic straws. Simple one. But forced to, but I used to ask for them even after they were banned. But now I've moved to completely out of that and went on to paper, not even a plastic one. I loved day before yesterday, I realized that I've actually stopped that green straws.
Yes.
And moved to paper.
That's quite heartening to hear from an organization which has off late been very disappointing in the way they have been doing things.
They still had that plastic lid over it.
Yeah.
I did ask them that do you have a paper lid, but I mean, yeah, they don't.
Yeah. Saurabh, awesome talking to you. And I think especially this one, of all the topics I've had in the last 24 episodes, this is the most closest to my heart. And thank you for you reaching out to me. And I think it's my absolute honor to have you on the show.
See, firstly, thanks for inviting. I mean, this was awesome. And probably, I've never thought about sustainability so deeply in that last 1 hour that you have told me. Maybe there is a point to think more.
not just this conversation, but in general, when it comes to sustainability, it now needs to be a way of our life.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's it from our end for this episode. At Between Us, we talk about stories, we talk about conversations, and we say that the most important story and the most important conversation is the one we have with ourselves. And I think this is certainly one conversation we need to have about the way we lead our lives. And I'll leave that thought to all our viewers. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, until we see next time, stay safe, stay healthy.
And thank you for listening to this episode of the Between Us podcast. This podcast was recorded at Manikpod Studios in Chembur, Mumbai. Our sound engineer is Moinak Chakraborty, and our producers are Arnav Dogra and Santosh Kumar. Our associate producer is Samyak Kamble. The video for this episode was processed at Viewfinder's Edit. The Between Us podcast uploads episodes weekly, and we'll see you next time.